Legend live from Hollywood, California. With me is #1 medical expert Saskia Weber, who's been giving me advice on all my conditions that are going on right now currently. That's right, Saskia. I'm giving you that introduction because honestly, without you, I would have probably just been doing what I was doing beforehand and keep going to the doctor every single day. And everyone probably who's listening right now is like, what is he even talking about? He's talking really fast right now. Clearly, he's taking some sort of medication right now. That's right, guys. I'm ill. I've been having kidney stones, and we've been discussing that for the last 20 minutes. So if you want to check out the pre-show, you want to know more about my kidney stones, feel free. But you know who doesn't want to hear about my kidney stones?
Well, you didn't even introduce me. So
I did. I thought I did, didn't I?
No, you just said Saskia, my kidney stones.
In my
What's
brain,
up? I'm Saskia Weber live from Beverly Hills, California. I do not have kidney stones, but I don't feel bad for any guy that does. Welcome to giving birth, which I have not had, and I'm super stoked to be here. What's up, Mike? Go ahead.
Oh my gosh. In my mind, I had said it, which is really concerning me about what I'm possibly going to say on this show. Joining us today, guys, all the way from the UK, we've got Reading FC and New Zealand International, Erin Nayler. Erin, did I say that or did I just say that in my head?
You said it. You got it right.
All right, good.
Erin, I am apologizing ahead of time.
No, it's awesome to be here. Thanks for having me on.
No, we're really excited.
Yeah.
Well, honestly, yeah. I mean, I've been wanting to have you on for a while. Obviously, I've been a big fan of your work. Obviously, you know, the matches in the World Cup, everybody came to know some of your great performances there. Obviously, you know, you've played at some of the biggest clubs in the world, in some of the greatest leagues in the world and everything. So maybe for some of the insiders out there who might not be familiar kind of with your journey kind of before we get into today's topic, tell us kind of how, like, you know, you went from, you know, your New Zealand career all the way to like Lyon and then now finally into the WSL.
It's awesome.
Yeah, so I started in New Zealand just playing for club teams there. And then I made my way into the youth team selections, and I was in the under-17 squad. Didn't make that squad. Got called into the under-20 squad. Was told that I was fifth choice goalkeeper. And as a young goalkeeper, I always had a lot of talent and a lot of athletic ability, but I didn't have the confidence. But as soon as I got that, I started to develop really quickly and progress in my career like very quickly. And then I got up to I ended up starting at the under-20s World Cup. And then I eventually made my way into the national team, and that's where I am now. I'm starting goalkeeper for New Zealand, and I've been to 2 World Cups and should have been 2 Olympics. But I've been at the last Olympics. I was scouted by Olympic Lyonnais, so that was my first professional contract, which was a great place to start, very challenging, but a great place to learn and develop even more. And then from there, I went to France and played for 4 years in the league there from Lyon, I went to Bordeaux and played for 3 years there. And then after that, I'm here where I am now in Reading. So I went back to the lockdown, and then from there got picked up by Reading. So, yeah.
I mean, honestly, I love the way you said that. You're like, yeah, my first professional contract is Lyon. Like, that's like literally like, that's like kind of like winning the lottery. You're like, okay, well, I guess I just assume that all professional, you know, teams are going to kind of be like this environment, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I really knew what I was in for. I got there and I think I was a little bit out of my depth, to be honest, but it was a very quick learning. I learned very quickly. And it was a completely different game to what I was used to in New Zealand. The French league was completely different. So
how so?
Yeah, it was really cool. Just a lot more technical. So the goalkeepers, I learned very quickly that I had to play with my feet, which I wasn't the greatest at. But I think over the last 4 years, I've progressed a lot in that area, but it really opened up that side of the game for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, I mean, I think that's one of the things that it's so funny that you say that, because it seems like that's every single goalkeeper that we have on the show, which makes me wonder, like, what is considered good with your feet? I've not had a goal. Has there been a goalkeeper, Saskia, that's come on the podcast and been like, and I was actually really good with my feet, and they told me I was already good with my feet, and I didn't have to worry about it.
Well, we have to talk about your countryman, Jenny. First of all, give a shout out. But she instilled that in the UCLA goalkeepers, playing with their feet. And at this point, the way soccer has evolved and everything, the goalkeeper has to be just as good, confident, receiving a ball, playing 1-2 touch out, knowing where their players are, serving a ball on point. Like, look, we expect we expect a back, a center back to be able to play a ball on point to the 9 that they can control, like with pace and everything. There is no reason a goalkeeper shouldn't be able to do that as well. And that is the evolution of the game. As I've said so many times, we are the first pass on attack. What are we going to do with it? Are you going to pass the buck? Are you going to just give it to somebody next to you? Or can you bypass their forward line and just immediately start a counter, put everybody into the right position? And that is the evolution of the game, period.
Yeah. Now, Erin, actually, I have a question for that in regards to, the WSL, because there's obviously, the teams that are, are the Man Cities and all that, where everyone's like assuming that they play exactly, like the men's team. Is that very similar in regards to in the league right there? And I apologize if I'm just not exactly sure, but are the playing styles very similar in regards to on the men's teams? Is that like a club philosophy?
In terms of a club philosophy, I think it differs by club, but I think in terms of the way the women's teams are playing, I think they're quite similar to the men's. Like, as you see, where the teams are trying to play out a lot more from the back now. And that's, seen throughout all the game now. No one really plays a direct game anymore here, which I think it was like that a few years ago. So it has, this league really has developed over the last few years, which is really exciting to see. And there's been a lot more football played, but it is still a very physical league at the same time. So, yeah.
And it seems like one of the biggest things that's obviously been happening, especially in the UK, from all the different coaches that we speak about there, is that mental aspect of the game is becoming so vital. And not that I was saying that it was negated before, but there was the focus, especially at the youth level, wasn't there. And that's why I kind of love, this today's topic, because it's kind of based on, this little handbook that you wrote, which I thought it was awesome. You were so funny earlier off the air when you were like, yeah, I wouldn't really call it a book, it's just something that I wrote. I'm like, that's a book. That's a book. It's published, it's out there. That's a book. So why don't you tell us a little bit kind of about the handbook, and then we'll kind of go into the topic.
Yeah. So I started writing that when I came here, actually. Because as goalkeepers know, the mental side of the game is so important. I think it's the majority of the game for us. And when I got here, I think I was struggling a little bit with that side of my game and with my mindset. I had obviously been in France for 4 years, but coming here, I came into the preseason really late. And so I was trying to prove myself to new coaches and to a new team. And I found myself getting really caught up in my head, and the performances weren't really there. So that, coupled with not much game time, can be really difficult for a goalkeeper. So I just started kind of writing down things that I'd learned through my professional career, not so much at youth level, but what I kind of picked up at the higher level. So I started writing it down, and then I just thought that I would turn it into a guide, and not only for myself, but I was hoping that other goalkeepers could, learn something from it.
Yeah. And one of the things that you kind of brought up in the book, and, I know Saskia's very, very, very big on this, is kind of like, these toolkits, these mental toolkits, and actually having these activities that you actually follow, and you kind of become diligent with that. So like, kind of, what do you mean by a mental toolbox? And like, what are some of those activities that you're kind of speaking about?
Yeah, so in my guide, I have 4 tools that I use, and it's tools that I've actually used in my career. And they are meditation, visualization, self-talk, positive self-talk, and gratitude. And I just think that those 4 tools, like really simple things that you can do off the football field, that can really help you become mentally strong. And it can be done any time of the day and whenever you want, really. And they're just little things that can help you, and it can help a goalkeeper take their game to the next level, I think.
Yeah, I think I think you're really on the nose in regards to the next level thing. Saskia, one thing I want to ask you is, obviously you played at the highest of levels, and you've always spoken about, what separates that 0.001% are those that are able to capitalize on this mental toolbox and actually utilize, these exercises to kind of separate themselves, because at that level, everyone's physically gifted. Everyone's understands tactically. Everyone's got it pretty technically down, Yeah,
you have to find your toolbox. It's not everybody. It's not the same. And I know you'll say that as well. It's you have to find what works for you to put you in the right headspace. It's a tough position. We all know that, mentally it's hard. It's hard on my mom, sorry. And my dad, it's a tough position. And you have to be able to kind of wind that in. And I've watched players that, physically are so gifted and so talented, but their mental game they fall apart. They fall apart. They get in their head. They analyze. They overanalyze. They, they outwardly express anger. It's just like you have to reel that in, and find a way for you to be at your best, play your best, project your best, because like I've said 1,000 times, you're an automatic leader on the field. So imagine if Julie Foudy for the 99 team is stomping around and pissed off because she missed a shot or missed a pass and her entire demeanor goes down. Well, it brings the entire team down. Imagine if she can't get control of that. Imagine if she's yelling at other players. Imagine if she doesn't show up focused for practice. That affects everybody. And as a goalkeeper, because of the position that we play and that we're automatically captains, in a sense, on a team, that affects your entire team. Whether you want to believe it or not, it does. And so you have to go through these things. You have to figure out how to kind of wrangle yourself in and stay focused. Look, we're all going to have bad days, but it's incredibly important, the mental game. It is.
I want to ask you about that, Erin, because Saskia is saying it's different for everybody. I think that's one of the biggest issues that comes into play. Like, I'll be straight up honest with you. That's one of the biggest mistakes I made. Is I'm like, oh well, so and so does this. That's going to work for me, right? But you have to find kind of like what motivates you, what connects you, what keeps you. Everyone's warm up routine, for instance. Like, I know when club coaches will tell kids like, this is like your warm up routine, and it's like, well, but this doesn't really get me warmed up, because it's more of about a mental state, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Preparation is individual. Everything's individual. I don't think that there's one right method. But I think you have to find what works for you. And on the field, everybody feels pressure, and it's how you deal with that pressure. That's how you will perform. Yeah. So it's just finding your own way of how to deal with that pressure on the field. For some, it might be a trigger. For others, it might be the communication. It's just something little that will bring your focus back onto the game, and ultimately how you deal with pressure is.
Yeah, and I think I like what you said, Mike, in the sense of okay, so Erin, meditation, to goalkeepers watching and parents out, that doesn't mean Erin's sitting on a rock somewhere with her fingers like this, with her legs crossed and totally zen, and maybe it is, and maybe that's the way she deals with it. Meditation comes in so many different forms, and it's finding the form that calms you and works for you as an individual, but finding that space.
Yeah, question for you, Erin, is that is there like a crossover kind of with these skill sets? Because I think that's one of also the big mistakes that I've seen in mental coaching, is that people think it's a separate skill set that has nothing to do with physical and tactical and all of that.
Yeah, definitely. I think everything mental crosses over into the game. I think for example, in my toolkit, I've got visualization. So you can visualize off the field, but that'll make you more confident when you step onto the field. Meditation helps you be present. It helps you stay focused. So when you step onto that field, you can automatically click into that and just be focused on the game. So yeah, there's definitely a crossover, and it's not only just in football, but all of these tools can kind of help you in life in general as well. But again, you just find what works for you and what helps you perform on the field the best. And everyone is different. And yeah, I mean, meditation works for me, but I'm not someone that does it every single day. I'm going to be honest. I do it every now and then when I need to be calm and when I need to be focused. And
right.
I always struggled as a young goalkeeper with focus. So I was always away with fairies most of the time, as some of my coaches will know, but that kind of brought me back to center and helped me with just focusing and training and everything.
I think one of my biggest things as a coach, so if we're talking to coaches out there and stuff like that, is again, you can't impose your thought how to do things for somebody. So when I see my goalkeepers kind of going off the edge, to put it nicely, I always bring it back to basics. And I always look at them as a coach and I'm just like, let's simplify this. You know, whether we're playing small-sided, whether it's chaotic, whatever's going on, I'm like, do me a favor, stop. I know what we did in goalkeeper training, and I know I can see your mind going crazy. Simplify it. Simplify it. I just want you to make the save, make the distribution. That's it. I'm not standing over your shoulder, and I'm not like, well, your right foot was off. Well, this was off. Just do what you can. Like, and myself as a coach tries to realize and identify when I see a player struggling mentally, let's calm it all down, you know, and you have to do that as coaches, you know, yell it. I'm sorry, I'm not a yeller. I'm not like a, come on, you know, no, they know they've made a mistake. They know they've done it and stuff. How do I kind of bring them back to calm? And we have that responsibility as well as coaches.
Yeah. You know, one thing I want to do right now, Erin, is I actually want to pull up the book for everybody to see. By the way, one thing I totally just realized when we've been talking about this whole mental thing and meditation and all that stuff is that Rosie White recently sent me something about her yoga, and I have not accepted that like yet. So I totally need to do that. Please don't tell her that I forgot to do that. I don't know.
I hate yoga.
I'm not a yoga person either, but I'll do anything for Rosie. I'll do anything for Rosie, because believe it or not, Erin, I did a comedy show with Rosie like 2 years ago in Chicago.
You did?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Why don't we put those clips up?
Yes,
oh my
please
God.
do.
We should probably do that. So I did I produced something called the World Cup Comedy Tour. It was myself, Total Soccer Show, and the Cooligans, and Rosie and Danielle Colaprico, who both were at the Red Star at the time. I think Danielle's still there. Were on stage with 2 Chicago Fire players, and Rosie roasted those guys so well. Oh my gosh. It was hilarious. But I didn't know she was such a Zen yoga master at the same time. All right, I'm going to pull this book up right here. Can everyone see it?
Oh yeah.
Okay, cool. All right. So I want to go to dun, 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 dun. Okay, these are things I want to talk about right here, which is really, really cool. I love tools to build confidence, because I think this is something we always tell goalkeepers, Erin, to be confident, but we don't ever tell them, like, how do you do that? Because there's something to be said about being confident and also just pretending to be confident too, fabricating it, you know,
or being overconfident.
And we see a lot of that, that's for sure. But kind of go through these whole things. And are these 3 right here, the positive self-talk, the perfectionism, being unrealistic, and the mental imagery, is that something you came up with through trial and error, or just something that somebody else brought to you?
Yeah, no, these are things that I've used. I'm more of an introvert. So for me, my confidence doesn't come naturally. So for me, my confidence is like this. I don't believe that.
The farthest thing from an introvert.
All right, go ahead.
Yeah, so my confidence, I need to build it up. And when I'm playing well, like I play really well. And when I'm not playing well, then I find it really hard to build my confidence back up. So with my national team, for example, I am super confident because I know that my team trusts me. But when I come into a new environment, I find it quite difficult because I'm trying to prove myself to a new team and my confidence isn't quite there. So I use these tools to help me get back up to that level. And positive self-talk is one. So that's just in your mind, just, only thinking positive, really. It's as simple as that. Like not thinking, oh, what if I miss this ball? It's no, I'm going to save this next shot. And then, yeah, mental imagery is something that I use before every international game, every league game as well. So the morning of the game, I'll take 20, 30 minutes and I will listen to music and really visualize what it feels like to step out on the field. And I can visualize what it feels like to make saves. I can visualize the pitch, and it really helps in international games because we usually get a visual of the field before. So I can use that in my imagery as well. So those really, help me to build my confidence, and it's worked quite well for me so far. So
my favorite here.
I love, except for
yes,
perfectionism is unrealistic. I absolutely love that. I do.
Yeah, I mean, I think you can always aim for perfectionism, but
it's unrealistic.
Nobody is perfect. Yeah, exactly.
It's unrealistic, and we're all going to make those mistakes. And goalkeepers out there, and parents, and everything, the mistakes are going to happen. Whether it's De Gea kicking a ball into the back of somebody and it going into the goal, or or it going through my legs or something. It's gonna happen, and you can strive for it, but to accept that is, a different state. And when we watch goalkeepers and they get so down on themselves, they're so mad, and I'm just like, dude, it's soccer, man. I'm like, like so many other things happen to make that happen. And yeah, you made a mistake. All right. Don't make it again, or try not to, but it happens. And accepting that, I think for myself, playing the sport as well, people asked a lot, like, how do you deal with that as a goalkeeper? How do you deal with getting scored on? How do you not beat yourself up and stuff? You have to get to a point where you accept that, this is a sport. Mistakes are going to happen. Goals are going to get scored. I never made errors, but my defense always did. Like, just kidding. This is just a joke. But you have to. No, I know.
See when you
it's not true because my whole feed right now for the 99ers is going to blow up. Like, oh, really? No, but you have to accept that. And when, as an athlete and as a goalkeeper, especially when you can get past that, and it takes certain goalkeepers, it takes a certain mental state to be able to accept that. And to accept that it's a team sport, accept that there's a team breakdown. And yes, you're going to make mistakes, but there are times that I've gotten scored on. I've stood back up and clapped because the ball was like put in the upper 90. And I'm like, I'm not saving that, and I think, you can strive for it, but it's never going to happen.
Yeah. I want to bring this up right now, Erin. And by the way, somebody in the comment section just asked, Sean Drake just asked, hi, Erin, where can I get the book from?
So there's a link in my Instagram bio. I think that's the easiest way to access it.
Nice. Well, that makes it short and simple. I thought it was gonna be like this long, like rigmarole. It's like, oh, if you go to www, put promo.
Yeah, but Sean, we'll also put it up at the end and stuff. So
yes, and we'll put it in the show notes as well too for the podcast. I want to talk about this here because this is something that's really interesting to me. Is these high pressure training environments. And we've been discussing this actually, Erin, on the show quite a bit. A lot of coaches are kind of going into this kind of whole pressure training attitude when it comes to their sessions. I think something that's really interesting right here is that you put this this forfeits thing in there, where basically you're essentially giving yourself some sort of a punishment if you don't meet your criteria. And I've heard back and forth on whether this is positive or negative. How can you utilize this positively with youth players? Because my concern is that, like, if a coach just goes out there and puts out punishments, that it might be taken the wrong way.
Yeah, so I wrote this drawing on my own experience. So I had a goalkeeper coach that worked with me for my whole, I think from when I was probably 15 up until I made it into the football ferns. And he was very, very tough on me. And that actually made me really mentally strong. And it gave me a really strong base, but he would always put forfeits in. And that is what ultimately helped me get to the level I'm at today. But it's also that fine line for youth goalkeepers. You don't want to destroy their confidence. So it's a really fine line. And for me, I think my confidence was destroyed every now and then because it was such a brutal environment that it actually really helped me. And I'm very appreciative that I went through that. So if I would come to training and if I wasn't on the money that day, if he would know straight away. And any mistake I made, I would have to go for a run or do something. And that really made me think and tune me in when I came back in, that I would be completely focused on the task at hand. So I think that worked for me. But for youth goalkeepers, I don't think you can be too harsh because they're in that development phase. So I think it has to be, perhaps instead of forfeits, you might want to use a reward system. Yeah. But yeah, again, it's individual. I think it depends on how it works for you. It worked for me, but for others, it might not.
I use it at UCLA. And it's more of something that is just an established thing with each player. They know like a consistent mistake that they're making, that in certain situations, if they make that mistake, they'll look over to me and I'll be like, one, you owe me a sprint. Like they know already, and they know it. And it's not like, I'm not embarrassing them in front of people. This is something we've had a discussion about. I'm not like, you owe me one or something like that, or, they'll look at me and I'll be like, yep. And sometimes I'll be like, you know what? I don't count that one, because of the situation, because I'm assessing the situation that it happened in. But they know, and I'm like, it's more of a teaching tool. It's more, they'll look up, they're like, oh man, I just saved that ball with my feet from a 15-yard shot. And I'm like,
that's your favorite. That's your
favorite. I'm like, you owe me one. And but they know it, And so it's more of like it's just exactly what you said. It's just an awareness. And trust me, it won't happen again in practice. And it's not like some like massive punishment where I'm calling somebody out in front of everybody or something. It's something after practice. They'll go off on the side. They'll get their sprint in and stuff. I'll be like, all right, cool.
Yeah, and I want to actually just kind of, I don't want this to be misconstrued in any way, Erin, because I think what you meant in regards to the worksheet there is more of an individual punishment for yourself. It's not something that's being given out by somebody else. It's something that you kind of owe yourself if you don't meet a certain criteria. And then I noticed that as well, you included the stressors thing in there, which I think is really cool, which is where you give yourself specific goals to achieve. And maybe they're things that are even unreasonable, like play with my weak foot, only play with my weak foot, and small sided, and challenging yourself like that. Did that also come about from your coach, or is that something that you kind of came up with?
That a bit of both. So I think the main thing is a training session, you should try and replicate the pressure of a game, which is actually really hard to do, because trainings you can make mistakes and there's no consequences. But I think, so that I kind of figured it out by myself, but I think that you want to create an element of uncomfortableness in training. I think that's the main thing. So just put the pressure on yourself if there's not someone that's going to do it for you. But my coach that I had would put it on me as well. So there were times where he would just make it uncomfortable. So he would expect us at training 5 minutes early. If we were on time, we were late. And then one day we came to training and he was sitting on the side and training started. And so we were kind of just standing there like, what are we doing? And he was actually like testing us. So he was going to see how we reacted to a situation where there was no coach and how we were going to take control of that warm up. So it's just like, just different things to kind of create pressure, just make it uncomfortable so that when you go into the game, it feels easy in a way. It shouldn't, training should always be the hardest. And he would always be really hard on me in training, but when it came to the game, he would step right back and be super encouraging, which really helped. Like I felt all the pressure release and then I could perform.
Yeah, I'm similar. I mean, I'll give you a little tidbit. Early is on time is late. Late is unacceptable, Erin.
I've learned that.
Erin Dorrance.
So I learned that the hard way myself. But the same thing, I think training is the environment, not necessarily the whole small sided game. You have to play with your weak foot, but let's try to extend our range here. Let's try to push ourselves to see where we can go instead of be comfortable. And I'll tell my goalkeepers that before we get into like a game situation or something, and let's say Amanda's eyes, they'll make a mistake and I'll turn right to the coach. I'll be like, I asked them to extend their range. I asked them to push the envelope to see what we can do. That's why that just happened. It's not that they're like messing up. It's because I've asked them to do that so we can find a middle ground instead of saying comfortable. We have to see how far we can push our goalkeepers, and we can always have goalkeepers that are good and keep them comfortable and doing what they do, but how do we train them and how do we evolve them if we don't push them? And the training environment's the best way to do that. And I have to stand up for them in that situation. My coach is going to turn to me and be like, what? And I'll be like, I told them to do that. I told them, try to go for that cross. Come a little further off your line. Have a different starting position. Let's work on this. Let's find something bigger and better for you. So, and then in the game, I sit back, and if we're playing a game, I sit back and I'm quiet as well. I'm just like, I got your back,
I actually, that's really good what you brought up right there, Saskia, because I think one of the things is that what Erin, obviously talking about having an uncomfortable training environment is very important, but I think also at the youth level, especially, it has to be an uncomfortable environment, but also has to be a safe environment. What I mean by a safe environment, I don't want to sound like Mr. Woke 2020, but it's a safe space, a space where you can challenge yourself and experiment. you
And
know,
make
without the fear of
mistakes.
repercussions, you know?
Mhm.
And I think that's something that a lot of young players, Erin, put on themselves, is like, I have to do my best at every training session. And in that mind, their mind that being the best is not making mistakes.
Yeah, I think at youth level, it's a bit different because I think you have so much time ahead of you to develop. And I think mistakes is where you learn. That is the greatest area where you can learn, is from taking advice, picking up from your own mistakes, and growing off that. But I remember when I was young, I would still get caught up over games where I'd make mistakes, but you know, I had so much time ahead of me, and that's ultimately what got me to where I am. So I think you just have to remember that those learnings are what are going to make you a better goalkeeper in the long run.
Yeah. Erin, I want to ask you about this because, you know, obviously in your worksheet, and I want to pull that right back up real quickly here, if everyone can see this here. What you have in here, which I think is really cool, and first off, I mean, it's really well done, honestly. I mean, for someone who says that they just jotted this down together, even got like even Allison Becker made a cameo. You know, you got a lot of going on right here. But in the toolkit here, I'm gonna go down. I'm gonna go down to it. I think it's near the end. Yes, here you have templates. You have training templates, which I absolutely love this. I wish more coaches would do this for their players so that they could hand them to them. Because I'll be honest with you, I think that's one of the biggest mistakes when it comes to any sort of mental toolkit, any sort of activities, even technical or tactical training too, is that kids aren't organized because we don't teach them how to be organized, you know? And I think something like this, you hand this to a younger goalkeeper, or even a higher level goalkeeper, even at the college level, you know, so you hand something like this, it's very useful for them, and they bring it. Yeah.
Absolutely. We do.
Yeah, I think it's really important to have it on paper, because I think that kind of imprints it in your brain more. And then, it's just a reminder so that you can see how you're progressing. Without it, everything kind of gets lost. So I think it's really good to have that in front of you.
I love this whole gratitude thing. Can you kind of break that down a little bit? Because that was something that I never even really thought about before, that you put into the mental toolkit when I was reading the book.
Yeah, I think it's kind of, for me, it's just looking at the bigger picture. Like you said earlier, Saskia, football is a game. So we have to remember to enjoy it and appreciate that we can actually get out there and play the sport and are healthy and can run around and dive around, which is what we love doing.
I'm going to interject really quick. I absolutely love that you said that, because yesterday at practice, I was like, or Monday, I was just like, guys, I'm walking away. I'm like, everybody stop, just to my goalkeeper, just go have some fun. Go have fun, please. Get in this crazy small-sided tournament we're doing right now and have some fun. Enjoy what you're doing. Like, I'm not going to sit here. I'm not going to yell from the sideline. I just do what you got to do. Have fun. Be a goalkeeper. Do it. You know, because at the end, it's a game, guys. You got to enjoy what you're doing, right?
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. And as a career, it's the best job that I could ever have asked for. And that's what I just appreciate. But and also gratitude extends like to everyone, to friends, family. If you're more gratitude in life, I've read some studies and it's showing that you're more, I'm no psychologist, by the way, but it's showing that you're more effective in sports. Like if you have gratitude and you practice gratitude every day. So yeah, there's positive benefits. Yeah.
You know, I think, by the way, I think it's so funny how at the beginning of your book, you go, by the way, guys, I'm no psychologist, but.
Did I say that in the book as well?
You did.
I just want to reiterate that again.
You did. You're like, I'm no psychologist, but
well, you're doing great. I'm actually a psych major. So you're doing great.
Oh gosh, I'm really, being tested then.
No, but I mean, it really is honestly, and that's why we always have sports psychologists on the show. Dan Abrahams is always consistently on the show because, shout out to Dan, is because goalkeeping is so mental. And one thing about the mental aspect of it too, that I love that you brought up there in regards to training scenarios, is the scripted versus random, and that the only way to be able to create that mental pressure of the game is to throw things in at random, so that kids or younger pros don't even become accustomed to playing patterns. We talk about all the time, playing scenarios, becoming really good at training, and then you can't actually handle the game, so why don't you kind of, delve a little bit into that?
Yeah. So I think it's just, again, it comes down to making training a little bit uncomfortable. So say, for example, you're working on cutbacks. So the server will hit maybe 3 in a row, a cutback. It's just every now and then smashing one in at the near post, just creating that element of surprise that a goalkeeper needs to say, yeah, just being on their toes and being sharp. That will happen in the game, and the game is not scripted. So yeah,
I say it all the time.
She does.
I'll train with you anytime you want, sweetheart. I'm like, I say it all the time, and I'll have a couple forwards with me, and we'll be training the keepers, and we're doing cutbacks or we're doing something. So they're supposed to slot the ball, and they're supposed to go to near post to center, figure out how to get across the goal. And every once in a while, I'll lean over to the forwards when I'm talking about. I'm like, dude, hit one near post. I'm like, I go, I know the pattern. You don't have to stick to the pattern. I'm like, if you see them cheating, knock it near post. Like, keep them true, keep them honest, keep them on their toes, because that's the sport, and especially in practice, we can do this repetition. It doesn't work that way in a game.
And you find in training, a goalkeeper will start to anticipate, and that's what you want to cut out, because it needs to be random, it needs to be realistic.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
And speaking of random, I mean, you cannot prepare for this type of stuff right here, Erin. Where
what do we got?
We got a triple save here. Look at this here.
I love it.
Near post, slot, save, recovery, up across, 2, and now 3rd goal situation. You cover. Oh no, it was back to the one.
Why is it so slow?
Wait, hold on. Is this 4?
Nice.
Mine's really terrible quality, but
I love it.
But no, I mean, but wait, go ahead. What'd you say?
No, I wish it was playing in real time.
I know it's too darn slow. I don't know what to say, but like, look, those saves. I wish I could go in. Look, I had the kidney stone situation. I had to have Erin help me.
The beauty of it is the first save, then getting right back up, body weight forward, set again, good positioning, making the second save, getting right back up, getting your footwork together, body weight forward, 3rd save. It's all about kind of positioning yourself to make the best save, and that's excellent. It's excellent.
This is higher quality right
here.
Well done. I'm pouncing on that right there. By the way, no. So here's what happens. So usually, Erin, I go on I almost said WeTransfer. Wow, I'm really all over the place. Y Scout, and I get clips usually, but because of the kidney stones thing, I've been a little out of it. So thank you for being able to provide some clips, because I was
that's fine.
I was having some issues with it.
But to dial it back into the book and to like the whole mental side of things, that 4 save scenario, that's a way to keep calm. It's like, okay, I've made a save. How do I reposition myself? Okay, I've made another save. How do I reposition myself? It's not freaking out. It's not getting up and being on your heels. It's not being like, everything's crazy. It's just like, okay, 1 save, up, next save, up, next save. And it sounds casual, and I know I make it sound that way, but when you're in a certain zone and when you're in a certain place as a goalkeeper and you can calm yourself, it is actually how it works. It is. The game slows down for you. We see it as chaotic as fans watching, but in the reality of it, if you're in the zone and if you're focused and if you're relaxed, it's 1 save, then the next save, then the next save, and the next save. It's not chaotic.
I really like how you use the word the zone there, because ultimately that's what the guide is trying to get the reader into. Well, if you follow the tools, because whenever I go to an international match, whenever I used to, my players would be like, Erin, are you here? Like, where are you today? Because I would be so in my head and I'd be so focused. I would just be so oblivious to anything that was going on around me. And they used to find it hilarious. But that's what kind of got me in the right mental state to perform. I remember being like that before the Canada World Cup in particular. Ali Riley turned to me and was like, just laughing at me because I was just completely gone. But it is finding that zone, and it's just being so focused on what you need to do. And I think in that moment there, I was just really focused on the present moment. And yeah, I was relaxed and I just trusted myself because I was, in the moment. So
yeah, and that is how it works. And I try to explain this to people. When you are in that zone and stuff, the game actually slows down for you. It's not the chaos that you see. It's not like, oh my God, you made a save. Oh my God, you made another save. You're just kind of like, okay, up, reposition, save. Okay, up, reposition. And I know I'm dumbing it down and it seems simple playing at such a high level. And you're like, okay, well, Saskia, that's you guys. No, it's actually really focus. And it's really just getting into that mental state. And goalkeepers out there, you'll find it. You will.
Yeah. I mean, like, look, even I've been in the zone before. Like, so anybody can be in the zone. It's possible.
I think you're in the zone right now.
Oh, I'm definitely in the zone right now. I'm not sure what zone it is. It's not a goalkeeping zone. Can you imagine me playing right now? That would be an interesting situation. That is for sure. It's funny that you brought up the confidence thing in regards to the body language that she kind of had there, Saskia, because
Absolutely.
like we spoke about it with Dan Abrahams, how important that body language is, because Erin, is it for you? It's not even that the bad body language that you're exuding to your teammates, but also the body language that you're exuding to yourself kind of puts you in a specific mode.
Yeah, definitely. So if I'm not feeling confident, all I need to do is stand tall and kind of keep my shoulders back, and it'll automatically instill confidence. And I think I used that a lot when I was 5th choice goalkeeper in the under-20s. I actually was looking at videos of Hope Solo and how she carried herself around the field. And I wanted to replicate that. And as soon as I did that, and
I'm glad you put it on the field right there. So,
and started to act confident, I could feel a change in myself. And that's when I started to progress. It kind of you start to trust yourself more just by changing your body language. It's very, very interesting. And it's crazy how it works, but it's almost like fake it till you make it. So act confident and you'll feel confident.
There was a saying the great Tony DiCicco had. Oh God, I miss him. Was act as if, which is fake it till you make it. Act as if. So we would do pressure training or something, and it would be go, 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 go. And that always resonated in my head. So if we're doing fitness, like, and the 45 seconds, the minute was over and people are just laying on the ground, I would step up, stand up, be on my feet, ready to go next. I want to throw up, but nobody knew. I acted as that. It was that confidence. It was like exude it until it's real. Like it was like act as if it's not bothering me. I'm here. I'm here. I'm here. It's that presence. And it's true. And if you're not feeling confident somewhere in your soul, if you do that, it'll come. It will.
Yeah. And it also transfers onto other players as well. So in the last couple of weeks, I've been trying to bring that back into my game more. And it just helps you relax as well. Like you just feel so much more relaxed. And it's really crazy the change that I've seen just in the last couple of weeks by carrying myself better at training. I've been able to make much better saves. And I think you actually put the strikers off when you kind of just exhibit that air of you're not going to beat me.
Exactly. So, it's presence.
Yeah.
I've looked at my keepers, Kelly McManus and those guys, and I've said, she's my freshman right now, and I've said, I want them to see you when they look up to strike a ball, not the goal. You have to exude that. You have to step up and be like, here I am. You've got to beat me. You can't get small. And so they see, oh, where am I going to put it? They have to be like, oh shit, there's Lauren or Kelly standing in front of me and I can't beat them. And that comes from that attitude and that presence in your mind and in the energy you put out there. And it absolutely goes off to your teammates.
No. And it even reverses the other way too. It's like, obviously, when we had the amazing, Michelle Akers on the show, legendary. And she's like, the second I knew that the goalkeeper was focused on me, I had them. So if they're looking at me, then they're so worried about me. They're not worried about the ball. They're worried about what I'm going to do. So I can dictate the entire motion. You want it to be the other way around. You want to be able to manipulate the situation. For instance, in that 3-save sequence over there, Erin, that we just watched right there, in my mind personally, I had no doubt you were going to make those saves.
Agreed.
No doubt.
I watched your body language. I watched how you were back up on your feet, weight forward, big, in that yellow outfit. It was like,
that was the worst outfit I've ever worn. I was so angry.
Hold on, can we pull that back up here?
The big yellow, it was like the big yellow banana.
When they told me,
but
I think the socks were the same color as the Cameroon, I think. So they're like, you can't wear the yellow socks.
No, it's the one before. It's the one before.
Oh, there's the one before.
I noticed it.
Oh, there it is. Wait, is this the one right here?
No, that's not it.
Okay,
it's the one with the yellow and the red socks.
Okay.
But I noticed it. So do you see what I'm saying? Like I saw it. Like I noticed it. All those people.
Oh my God, it's Big Bird. It's like Big Bird. It's like
Never
totally
again.
Big Bird.
I will refuse.
Oh my God.
Totally Big Bird.
Oh my gosh. Is that? Please tell me that one's hanging up in the closet somewhere, right?
back in
That
position.
one's going in the
Boom,
trash.
up, back in position. I'm sorry,
Perfect.
that is an absolutely amazing sequences of saves.
No, that's a great way to start off a reel, honestly. So if anybody's watching that, that's a pretty cool way, because the thing is that, and you know, and I don't want to make this about, you know, trying to find a team or anything like that, but like if you're a goalkeeper and you put, I've seen this before, you know, and we're speaking in generalities right here, but I've seen goalkeepers who put like multiple saves at the beginning of their reel. And it's like, yeah, great. You were out of control. You were out of position. And that's why you're making all these saves. That wasn't that. That was showcasing a multiple save scenario, first save, second save, third save, all based on great, right behind the ball line.
Right now.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
No,
we got to. We can't give the customer a compliment, so you know.
But I agree with you, Mike, because the difference is there's a difference between making multiple saves and getting hit by the ball. Okay, and there's a difference between making a save. And those were 4 saves. Those were getting up, proper footwork, proper positioning, proper body weight, recover, save, save, save. There's a monumental difference between a forward hitting you with the ball. like, oh, I just was kind of here, and they kind of screwed that up. No, you made that was a great sequence. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Erin, I want to talk about the thing is that you're so confident right there. And I think a lot of it is also, you talk about breathing techniques a lot in the book. You know, and if you watch even just that clip right there, your breathing is controlled. It's not out of control. I think that's where a lot of young kids, that anxiety comes in, is because their breathing gets out of control. And that's when they, you know, Saskia, we always talk about, they come out and they clear the ball, or, you know, or they overrun the ball or whatever, because they're not in sync with the game.
Yeah. As soon as you become nervous or panicked, your breathing will, get really fast, and you'll become really tense, which kind of stops you from making saves and being able to react naturally. So when you're in that really relaxed state, that's when you can just react and make saves. But if your breathing's is out of control, then that's not going to happen. So I think if you find yourself tense or really nervous, if you just take really deep breaths and kind of bring yourself back, then that can really help.
Yeah. Are there like specific, like well, okay, maybe not that one. That's probably not a good one right there whatsoever.
Oh my God, Mike!
If any kid saw that, please don't do that. That's probably not the best.
I thought you were just holding your breath.
Yeah. Well, when I took the CT scan for my kidney stone, they made me hold my breath.
Oh my God, here we go. The thing. I was like, are you having is it passing? Is that why you just made that noise?
Oh God, I hope it's not passing right now.
Oh my God.
I am much more relaxed right now, though, because I'm focused on this as opposed to the.
I told you to take 800 milligrams of ibuprofen.
Exactly. That's why you're the leading medical expert, Saskia Weber.
Hey, I've been around the block with injuries.
But talking about that, Erin, is that when you were talking about breathing, is that there was specific breathing techniques that you were showing in the book, but you also had like words that you kind of placed in it too. You're like, you know, a confident word kind of phrase here or there that kind of keeps you in that moment, right?
Yeah, I think was that positive self-talk in the book you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, when you're in the moment in the game, you don't really have time to think about anything. The main thing is just to bring your breathing back to normal, I think. And there's not really a specific technique for that, as long as you take deep breaths and just, slow everything down and try and feel yourself relaxing. But obviously, if you're in a game situation, you need to be focused at the same time. So trying to do both of them can be a little bit difficult, but that's where meditation can really help, because you can quickly flick into that. With practice, you can do it instantly on the field, and you can recognize it a lot quicker when you start to panic and become tense and your breathing increases. And when that all increases, your thoughts go crazy too. So just slowing everything down by just slowing your breathing down can really help.
Yeah, I mean, I can even attest for myself, you know, I've remembered, and I don't know if you guys, you know, because you guys played at the highest level, you probably guys didn't have that situation. But those of us who waddled in the lower level pros did. And that is that I would sometimes feel like I was losing my breath. And because I was making too much of the situation, making too much of the moment. You know, I was like, that's so-and-so, and that's so-and-so, and I need to be able to make this ball right here. Otherwise I'm going to get released from the team or whatever. And that's a scenario that I think a lot of players, you know, fall into. So like, what advice, Erin, do you give them when they kind of notice themselves like in a game? And it's not just because that they're tensing up and they're freaking out because of the play, but they're more freaking out because of the moment and the expectations they're putting on themselves.
Yeah, that's a really difficult one because I've been in that situation many times. I think I remember there was a terrible game we played against the US and we lost like 5-0. I think Alex Morgan smashed in like 3 goals, but you just start to become really overwhelmed and flustered. And it's just finding a way to kind of calm things down again, because when you're in that state, I think things can go from bad to worse. So it is very, very hard to do. But I think if you can find a way to just stay calm, whether that's, for me, it's actually communication is a big one too. So just trying to reorganize my backline or something that I can actually control can really help. But again, that will be different for everybody, what can kind of calm them down and help them focus on the game again.
We actually talked about that.
Happened. Yes, it's happened.
It's happened to you?
Of course.
Really?
Yeah.
I just think of,
I think of one game playing with New York or Philly against San Diego. God, we couldn't just stop them from. I couldn't stop them from scoring. I mean, Shannon McMillan, everybody we were just getting our ass kicked, and it sucked. And it was to the point that it was like every time they came down the field, you're like, I'm gonna score again. I was in goal. And you just have to kind of, I just had to take it one situation at a time. Like, and I tell, like, don't get overwhelmed by what's happened. It's in the past. Don't get stressed about what might happen. And it was just like one situation at a time. Solve one problem at a time. And try to get through this and get the hell out of this city. And that was it. I'm like, just try to survive, man. Hey, I made a save. Awesome.
Yeah, it's a horrible feeling, and it's so hard to get back in control. But I think I actually feel that way quite a lot at training, which is kind of a good thing. But in small-sided games in particular, if your team's losing and you're getting smashed, that's when it's like goal after goal after goal.
Yeah.
And that's a really good time to practice kind of getting back into the moment because, yeah. But it's not nice.
I'll never forget it.
Yeah.
Well,
it's like 6-0.
I think one of the toughest
things. Or 6-1.
Wait, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's bordering on your Japan box scores. So.
Sounds like a US New Zealand match, to be honest.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately. But
oh boy.
Sometimes, not all the time. I take it back.
I've been on that side every so often. I've been on that side.
Poor Alex Morgan taking it out on New Zealand every single. Shouldn't he took it out on Jenny?
What is wrong with her?
Yeah,
I know.
Yeah.
I don't think Jenny will admit that there were any games that high in score. We'll have to ask her.
I mean,
she'll be like, I don't know what you're talking about.
I do want to say this though, is that, one of the things that you were just bringing up there is kind of having acceptance for the situation and kind of like, this is what it is.
Yeah.
It is what it is. And there's only so much that I can do. And Erin, you brought this up in the book, is that having acceptance for your situation is so important. And that's so difficult for goalkeepers to do. Our ego gets in the way, I think personally. And we think, no, there's something more I can do. But in reality, like you were just saying, like Saskia, like in that situation or yours, Erin, you're like, world-class player. I don't know how to tell you, my defense is just not at the level.
Well, it's not that, but the best thing I could do in that situation was try to organize as best as I could and take, like I said, one situation at a time, one Shannon McMillan breakaway at a time. Like, it was like, what can I do? Like, try to help reorganize and stuff like that. And that was it.
Yeah, I think it's harder as you get older. I think as a young goalkeeper, it's easier to accept mistakes because you know that you're in that learning stage. But I think as you get to the elite level, it gets harder and harder to accept as you get older because in the back of your mind, you're kind of like, I've trained this my whole life. Why am I still making these mistakes? But ultimately, your whole journey is a learning process and you're learning your whole life. And as a goalkeeper, like I'm still learning. The best goalkeepers in the world are still learning.
I'm still learning.
And look at the EPL. Your mom. So even goalkeepers, like look at the men's goalkeepers, like they still make mistakes and they're getting paid millions and millions of dollars. That's what I always come back to. I'm like, well, look at them.
Don't bring up De Gea to me. It's my favorite subject.
But it is harder to accept as you get older because you do develop an ego and you've got to the level you're at because you're a good goalkeeper. So mistakes are harder to accept, I think.
Yeah, but don't you think that as you get older, I think the realization of it being such a team sport and understanding the sport, the game that's being played in front of you, and how the breakdowns happen, and how, you know, this is something that happened 5 passes ago, or and you know, so and so wasn't on the weak side, like marked up on the weak side, even though I told them to. And this, I'm not blaming everybody else. I'm saying, I think as I got older, the understanding of how encompassing this is as a team sport and how the breakdowns happen throughout the whole entire pitch to end up in a goal, made it easier for me to deal with, you know, than when I was a kid and you know, you're just getting goals scored on you because you're too short and the goal's too high and it's like 8-1 and stuff. And like, I think that as I got older, that kind of actually calmed me more. Do you know what do you see my point?
Yeah, that would help a lot, I think. I think for myself, I'm so absorbed, like I should really look at the game more like that, but I'm so self-critical that I'll be like, what could I have done? But looking at it from that perspective is a really good way of looking at it.
Oh, do I get a paragraph in the book?
I'll rewrite it.
You know? No, but try it. And no, but seriously, try it, because I think that, you know, in this day and age, when with so much we can watch video and we can see anything, you know, there's one thing when you make a fundamental, like, blatant mistake. But there's another thing when, you know, so-and-so tried to do a square ball in the middle third and it got clipped, and then, you know, they weren't organized and this pass went there and then she tripped and fell, and this, you kind of have to look at the whole picture and not be so self-critical, and realize and help your team as a leader not make the full team breakdown again. You see my point? And then, you know, and then you won't be so hard on yourself. And then you're actually helping. How did this even happen? How did she even get a shot off? Or how did this break? How did she end up free dribbling on me 1v1? Like, how can we stop that from happening? And how can I be a part of that? Maybe I should have organized my weak side sooner. Maybe I should have told you to pressure the ball and manipulate it more. Maybe I should have told you to push it to the right and not to the left or the inside or out to cover and stuff. And so when you look at it from like a full team perspective like that, then you won't be so hard on yourself.
Yeah. No. But by the way, we have a couple comments
Just
right here that I just want to that I want to read right out real quickly. Scott Armistead says, "Love your work, Erin!" ! And then Sarah Shepard follows that up with "Mihi Korokoro Tui Erin." Is that
Mihi Korokoro?
So
Tui Erin?
Do you understand what that means?
I don't understand what it means, but
you don't.
Sarah is my friend, and I know that's in Māori language, which is what she's learning, and I have learned, and I should know a bit more of.
It's a what language?
I don't know what it means in New Zealand native language, so Māori language.
Language. Okay.
I'm going to translate that afterwards, though.
Okay.
All right, that is a question I did have for you before we go. Is that, do you know the haka? Is that what it's called?
You know what? I learned it when I was with Jenny Bindon was in the team. I think it must have been at the World Cup. I learned it, but I came in late, so I learned half of it. So I was kind of standing at the back, like hiding behind everyone. So I'll say no.
All right.
I really hope that Jenny has the LMU team do the haka.
Oh my God, that'd be
before every game.
Could you imagine? That would be bomb. Jenny, I'm calling you. You got to do that.
Oh my gosh. Well, Erin, because I know it's getting late for you over there, but I just want a couple more things I want to go over. I want to go over game day routine, because we touched on it a little bit earlier. I think this is honestly one of the most important aspects of the mental game, is the game day routine. And, you know, you bring up a really good point in the book. You say it's not about wearing the same socks or, the color glove or whatever. It's more about what you're doing internally, like the intangible. So can you kind of break that down?
Yeah, I think it's just about doing things that you can control, so that when you step on the field, you feel more in control. I think that's ultimately what it comes down to, and that can be different for everybody. For me, I have quite a set routine. It's nothing crazy, but it's just little things that I do, and I know I'm on the right track. So I think anyone can incorporate that. And I think if you just follow that routine, it also gives you confidence as you step onto the field that you've prepared the way that you always do.
No, 100%. Like, you know, whether in olden days, you want to call them like your superstitions or whatever you had to do. The bottom line is if you get into that routine, if it's, putting your socks on the same way, if it's doing this, it's that you're focusing. It's that you're in a groove, listening to certain music, doing things, whatever it is for you that gets you in that zone again, that says, okay, I'm ready. I'm taking my time. This is what I do to take my time. Even though my little superstitions, it's not that you think putting your socks on left to right or whatever are going to win the game. It focuses you. Yeah. And that's what it is. That routine is incredibly important. It was for me. I had the craziest stuff, but it was just in the big picture. It was just.
You mean you're right, Saskia. It has nothing to do with the socks. It has to do with where you put your water bottle.
That really?
No.
For me, oh my gosh,
your water bottle?
It was my water bottle. So like, if I got scored on a bunch of times, I'm like, it's because the water bottle was on that side.
But the weird thing is you thinking that way. I think, and Erin, agree. Like whether you agree with me, I don't know. But it's refocusing yourself. So you feel yourself getting panicked, and so you say, it's because my water bottle's not here. Let me put my water bottle here. And that's like a weird way of just kind of calming yourself down and refocusing. It's not blaming the water bottle. It's just taking that pause and saying, I got to refocus. I got to breathe for a second, Yeah. And I had a crazy routine that I will never admit some of it to anybody, but it was my routine from college through pros, through the national team, everything.
Was yours like a full day routine, or was it just like a couple of things?
Night before, food, always same meal, and then the pregame always. Certain music, certain things I would do, just putting my stuff on, getting my equipment ready. Like that, it was always the same, always.
Yeah, I think it just gives you control over a situation that's going to be uncontrollable, because in a game you cannot predict what's going to happen, and I think that creates fear in a lot of us. So I think just being able to control something in your day gives you confidence.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%.
I was going to say, Saskia, that like once the world reopens back up and we start touring again, you're going to have that in your. It's going to be in your rider. It's got to be in your rider.
My routine.
Your routine, the pregame meal, all of that stuff right before we do the show. It's that's how it's going to work. How it's going to work.
Meal. In college.
Did you really?
In college, wow.
Yeah. I just bought a bunch of. I don't want. Well, let's not get into it. For the kidney stone, I bought some foods and was trying to cook stuff, and it's going to be a disaster. I bought cabbage. It's a thing.
I'll let you in off the air.
I will say this one last thing, Erin, kind of before we start wrapping up right here with the game day routines. One of the biggest issues that I see with a lot of young goalkeepers is, how it is in the youth game, is like you can't control your environment. You can't control your resources. And, they'll have, I'm going to do this and this and this because, and I worked with my coach all week and we learned a routine and everything. And then you get there and there's like a U9 game still going on that field. Or, like, oh, sorry, well, it rained on that field, so you guys are going to have to warm up on the cement right here, or like, team manager's not here yet with the bibs or whatever,
You had to do that before the 99 World Cup final.
Did you really?
What? Train on cement?
Yep. We had to warm up on cement.
That is insane.
The game was going on before us, and then J-Lo had to perform. So we were in the runway at the Rose Bowl, just knocking balls, hitting volleys, and everything like that. There was no outside pitch or nothing like that we could like get warmed up. No, we were in the runway to the Rose Bowl to the outside, warming up.
Wow. So whenever a kid complains from now on, I'm just going to say the 99 World Cup final.
I'll never forget sitting there hitting volleys with Bri and Tracy, just like sitting there, bam, bam, hitting volleys, just doing some footwork and stuff like that. Mm-hmm.
Wow, man, hopefully times have changed. Hopefully times have changed since then, and that's not happening anymore. Well, Erin, honestly, thanks for taking all the time. Honestly, the book is really cool. I honestly, when we hear of goalkeepers going out and putting that type of effort in, because you're still playing right now. It's not like you've got loads of time to focus on all these other things. You're still in the middle of your career, but when you're willing to give back like that, because you said it in the book, you're like, this book isn't just about these are some things that worked for me, but I want to share this gift with everybody else because I think you could benefit from people. So, I really, really honestly appreciate that. And I know Saskia does too. So
Absolutely. I love everything about it and everything you said. And it's on point. And for everybody listening, go get it because it's important. It's so important. Families, parents, coaches, like you can kick balls as much as you want as a goalkeeper, but they got to be okay up here as well.
Yep. And you make it really easy. I mean, you make it easy being in the Insta bio, which makes it really simple for people to get it. By the way, in the Insta bio too, there's a vegan thing going. Are you vegan?
No, I did try that for a little bit. As a lot of people probably have. But I am vegetarian, so I can claim that one. But I've been vegetarian for 4 or 5 years, and I find it pretty easy. So.
Nice.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Oh wow!
Next time we see each other, you have to have the haka down.
Oh my God!
Okay, I'll start learning it.
I love all those videos. I'm like obsessed with all those videos, like at the weddings and everything like that. Like I love why it makes me cry for some reason.
Yeah, some of them are pretty cool.
The haka makes you cry?
Well, because they'll like be like a wedding, like the whole wedding party will stand up and they'll do it for the groomsmen or like at a funeral. I'm like, oh my God, it's so awesome. It does. It's so emotional for some reason. I love it.
I mean, it is definitely powerful. Erin, one of the cool things I think you said in the book too is like, hey, if you want to reach out to me, just reach out to me, which I think is really cool. Is that you make yourself accessible like that. So, Instagram's the best place for people to reach out to you.
Yeah, it's probably the best way. Yeah.
Okay. And what's the handle?
Erin Nayler, just my name.
Okay. Well, you make that simple right there. And guys, thank you for putting up with me today. I'm very, very loopy. Although I'm feeling much better. Oh my gosh, I was in
What
pain
did I
before.
tell you? What did
I know.
I tell you?
You're right, Saskia. You're right. You were right. Remember, guys, contact at inside the 18. That's the number 18media.com. If you have a guest suggestion or a topic suggestion at Goalkeeper Podcast on all social media platforms. Keep following Saskia Weber at Saskia_Weber on all social media platforms. She's blowing up. Well,
now I'm going to have like the haka queen to it. So I'm going to start posting videos of it.
So that's gonna be the next one coming up on Saskia's Instagram. So please make sure to tune in for that, guys.
I gotta find a
all right,
good
guys. All right, that is all the time on Inside the 18. We are out later, guys.
Bye, guys.